Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel Premiere Next. In this video you are going to get all the information related to the latest updates of the series called Homicide, New York Season 1 during the first 5 days of its release, a 5-episode true crime series by Law & Order creator Dick Wolf, which explores some of New York City's most notorious crimes, soared to the top of the Netflix charts, making Homicide, New York, the third most watched English-language series on the platform last week. About Homicide, New York Season 1. The stories that span decades are told by detectives, acquaintances, and relatives of the victims and survivors of the 5 crimes that are included in Homicide, New York. In the first episode, the Carnegie Deli Massacre of 2001 is described. 3 individuals were shot dead during an attempted robbery, and 2 men, Andre Smith and Sean Sally, were found guilty of second-degree murder. Stephen King, Charles Trey, Hellow, and Jennifer Stahl were all killed at an apartment above the Carnegie Delicatessen in Manhattan. Michael McMorrow was stabbed in 1997. His body was discovered floating in Central Park Lake. This is one of the most horrific and well-known crimes in New York. In Homicide, New York, Rob Mooney of the NYPD discusses the murder's bizarre confessions and motivations. After starting her shift, Eridania Rodriguez, a cleaner in Manhattan's financial district, seemed to vanish out of thin air. It took investigators 4 days to locate her body. Homicide, New York's third episode describes Joseph Pabon, her attacker, being taken into custody. Nonetheless, the reason behind the crime remained a mystery. In 2034, he will be qualified for parole. Detectives weren't able to pursue a homicide case against Howard Pilmar's wife and her brother, who were convicted of second-degree murder in 2019, until 20 years after the Midtown business owner was discovered fatally stabbed in 1996. Lieutenant Roger Paulino of the NYPD recalls his relentless efforts to find and apprehend Pilmar's killers in the 4th episode of the recently released Netflix series. In the last episode of Homicide, New York, the case of the infamous East Harlem rapist is explored in detail. This serial killer and sexual attacker haunted the East Harlem neighborhood for nearly 10 years, beginning in 1991. Lieutenant Roger Paulino of the NYPD recalls his relentless efforts to find and apprehend Pilmar's killers in the 4th episode of the recently released Netflix series. In the last episode of Homicide, New York, the case of the infamous East Harlem rapist is explored in detail. This serial killer and sexual attacker haunted the East Harlem neighborhood for nearly 10 years, beginning in 1991. Aaron Key, now 50, was found to have committed 4 rapes in his late teens and early 20s, as well as the deaths of at least 3 teenage girls. He is presently incarcerated for life. Release details of Homicide, New York Season 1 later this year. Wolf's Homicide, Los Angeles, a related docuseries, will debut. The precise date is still unknown. If you are watching this video on YouTube, please click on the like button and subscribe to the channel for the latest updates related to upcoming movies and series.